Welcome into the Speeding in the Pits podcast with myself, Wyatt Williams, and your other host, Connor Clon Huberty. We're back for episode 2 of this season, Clon. We have had a green flag drop. We're
We're
back.
back. Yeah,
We said it.
feels like
I said it 1,000 times in the last episode, but I'm going to say it again. We are back. We're so back.
all the way now. I feel like it was good for both the guys driving the cars and for us to shake the rust off last week. But we're back in the swing of things.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to be back. We've got a great show for you guys. We are going to break down the entire clash that we saw this weekend, everything from the heats to the LCQ to the feature race to some of the teams that impressed us to what we think should come next with the clash. A lot of great stuff. And at the end, we have a little bit of a surprise that normally, not normally, this is a NASCAR. I was going to say normally this is a NASCAR podcast. This is always a NASCAR podcast. We've got a bit of a twist here on the end to talk about because it's a very big week in the sports world this week. So we're going to make some predictions. You might be picking up what I'm putting down here. But yeah, we had the clash this weekend. Chase Elliott. Yes.
Might be back.
Gets the win. Oh, dude, that was so vintage Chase. Like 2-3 years ago, Chase. They go out, they dominate. He has the best clash performance that he's ever had. He leads the most laps in clash history. Man, I was cheesing ear to ear, Clon. I mean, I was just having the time of my life. And as the laps wound down and Blaney was running him down, dude, I was sitting there and just like, please don't be a fall Martinsville again. Please. Please.
I honestly I don't know. Like I was kind of going back and forth like how much you want to take away from a clash exhibition race weekend, but it's got to be a positive for him, right? Doesn't matter what race it was, if it was exhibition, points paying, championship, playoffs, whatever. Like, that had to feel pretty good. I know, like, his fans feel pretty good about it. Obviously, take it and run with it a little bit. So
let's go.
Nothing wrong with the confidence boost.
Yeah, I do wish it was a points race. That would be really sick. Unfortunately, it was not, but still, it's a win. It's a win. It's a confidence booster. We're starting out the year on a great note, and I think that's such a high to start out the year. And after last year, I don't want to call last year a bad year. I don't think it was a bad year. It was a very consistent year. They ran very well all year, but it just they were so close, but just couldn't get it done every single time, except for at Texas. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what's to come with the 9 team this year.
Yeah.
Along with a lot of other teams. We saw some really great performances today. On Sunday. Trackhouse is one of those. We're going to get into all that later on. But to start out, initial thoughts on, can you hear my dogs barking?
And not enough to matter. Nobody's
okay.
If anybody's complaining about that, you hate America.
No, I wouldn't say like that. I heard them through my headphones, so I was like, oh wow, are they barking now?
Oh yeah, no, not enough to matter. I thought I heard something, but
yeah, that's Cuddy. He's having a good time downstairs.
He's just celebrating still.
Yeah, he's celebrating the Chase win. He heard me up here talking about it and was just got too excited to not do something about it. But
can't blame him.
Overall thoughts for you, positives, negatives, just a brief overview. Obviously, we're going to dive deeper and stuff as we go along, but just a brief overview. What did you think of the clash?
I hadn't been that excited about a clash in 5 to 7 years for sure. Like, not only is it the start of the season, that always gets a little bit of excitement, I feel like, for a race fan or a NASCAR fan in particular. But that was waking up Sunday morning, and we'll get into Saturday and everything else, but waking up Sunday morning knowing the feature was Sunday night. Like, I genuinely, I'm not even trying to sugarcoat it. Like, I hadn't been that excited in a long time. So that was refreshing, and I think a good step in the right direction if you're NASCAR.
You hadn't been that excited in that long. You saw me this weekend. You weren't that excited to see me this weekend?
Just about the race. Specifically the clash, I guess, honestly. Yeah, no.
That's the other thing. I totally forgot to mention that. We got to hang out this weekend.
We actually saw each other for the first time in a while. It was nice.
We did. First time since the Twins game when this podcast and everything was born. So, I'm sorry. I'm done going off the rails here with this podcast. We're going to get back to NASCAR. You're sorry. Overall, I totally agree. I mean, we were sitting in the hotel room in Minneapolis, and they had started practice, and I saw the cars roll out, And I was just like, yes, like
We're
this
back.
is awesome. We're back. We got cars on the track. They're running laps. Like, man. And overall, I liked the Clash. I liked it a lot. I
Yeah.
really did. Like, honestly, and I don't know if that's more the fact that the last two have been so, I don't want to call it underwhelming, but it was just like LA, the Coliseum had just overstayed its welcome.
I think
It overstayed
underwhelming
its
is the
welcome.
right word. I think
Okay.
underwhelming is the right word.
No,
I call it that.
okay.
To be honest with you, I think from the very beginning, LA was underwhelming. I think we all, as fans, maybe got caught up in the excitement and the novelty of it the first year in 2022. But literally, from the drop of the first green flag there, if you look at any of the racing action from last weekend
Wasn't
at
that
Bowman
great?
Gray compared to what any of those 3 years were, it just wasn't the same. And that's definitely a lot to say about the track design and the structure of all that, which there's nothing the Coliseum could do. They literally made that racetrack as big as they could in that building. But no, I don't think that ever really generated the excitement this did.
Yeah, I think it was more hype that kind of went into it that made it what it
100%.
was that first
Yep.
year.
Wiz Khalifa at
Um,
the halftime break, like
oh
all that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
oh yeah, that was great.
Gets people
Um,
going.
but yeah, I mean, overall, I was pleased. I was happy. I thought we had some really good racing action. I saw a lot of people saying that the feature was boring. I think that part of that, not part, I think all of that. Let me rephrase that. I think all of that had to do with we had just came out of the LCQ, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, which was crazy chaos, wreckfest.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
break all that down here in a minute. But I think part of the reason why people didn't like the feature as much was because we had so much action in that LCQ because guys are literally fighting to make the show. There is no, like, that's not a thing in the feature. You're there. You made it to the show. Where in the LCQ, guys are fighting to make it to the show, to where that's where you get that urgency. That's where you get those three wide, back and forth bundles that we saw. That's where you get the Ty Gibbs like going airborne. Like, that was awesome too. We're gonna talk about that. But I think that's part of the reason why it wasn't as well received. I feel like, and I also think Fox is kind of to blame too. I like again,
Yeah.
we'll get into that later. We'll get into that too later. I don't mean to keep bringing stuff up and say we're gonna do it later, but we're gonna break down every bit of this. But overall, what would you give the Clash out of 10?
Oh boy. I like a high 8, like an 8.8, 8.7, something like that.
I was right around there too. I was
On
gonna
like its
say,
own scale. Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna give it that too. I think, and if you look at how it compares to the last several clashes post Daytona, I was 10. That was a 10 for me.
Right. Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
no questions
given
asked. That
what
was
we've
great.
kind of dealt with here since
I
2019, it's and
If we
even
can get
before
that
that.
every year, as much as I would love to bring this back to Daytona, again, we're gonna talk about that later. I know I keep saying that. As much as I would love to see back at Daytona, if we're gonna get that kind of racing, if we're gonna get that kind of hype, if we're gonna pack the stands like that, I I'm cool for now. I
Yeah.
really am at the moment. But um, anyways, so overall, I like too the way that they had based it on almost like a late model weekend. It was really
Hmm.
cool to see them do that. You get out and go practice. And I do like that they had the late models race on Friday. So you just have this whole weekend for all those fans there, the passionate grassroots fans of NASCAR that are there in North Carolina. Really just got a great show from start to finish. But I like the way they broke it down with the practice. You have the heats, you have the qualifiers, all that stuff, and then the feature. And you got to make the feature. Like, I really thought NASCAR did a great job with this. That's not something you're going to hear us say very often on this show. I feel like we complain about a lot of moves,
It is a
but I
rarity.
will I will say hats off to NASCAR on this one. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think that they totally could have kept this at the Coliseum or gone somewhere else like that. And we'd all been sitting here this week like, why did we do that? Very disappointed.
Yeah.
Hats off to NASCAR for this one. Seriously, I think it's a big
For
win.
sure.
I really do. Okay, so now we'll get into the breaking down of things. First off, the the qualifiers, which set into the heats. So the qualifiers, again, great to see the cars back on the track. The thing that I thought was cool, that I'm kind of blending here qualifying and heats because there wasn't much craziness in the qualifying, but um I thought it was pretty cool that all of the pole sitters from qualifying won their heat to get to the feature.
Yeah, I think people were complaining about that too, and I think one thing you have to keep in mind is obviously those were qualifiers. There's a reason, those cars qualified at the front. So I think it was just an over encompassing kind of like a theme of the week that a fast car actually did well. Hence Chase kind of running away with it on Sunday night too. Like it's refreshing to a sense, and we'll talk more about what's coming next for the Clash or what the future holds. But in all honesty, like that's a little bit of that is natural racing. Like as a race fan, you want to see some of that. So yeah, to your point, it's nice to see that, and I think it's part of short sprint heat race stuff on short tracks. That's going to happen. Like you're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah, I thought that the heats were really interesting. Again, there was that urgency there. Drivers weren't just single file, and it was cool to see these guys. I don't want to be the guy who sits here and says that these NASCAR drivers are pampered or anything like that, but there's definitely more um, money and sponsorship involved nowadays that helps you get to the top. And
Massively.
and hey, that's business. You're great at business. I'm not downing you for that. Any of the drivers out there, but it was cool to put these guys on a late model track like that. That's tight knit quarters. I mean, not a lot of room anywhere, and really make them show us what they got. And
Yep.
it was really cool. I was pleased with the heats. Now we move on to the last chance qualifier. Dude,
Certainly something.
Wreckfest. Oh my god, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Your initial thoughts on the last chance qualifier?
Yeah, and it's kind of the both ways conversation where I think a lot of fans wanted to see a lot of that going to Bowman Gray, places nicknamed the Madhouse, super short track, tight quarters. These cars are built to hit each other a little bit. Like I think a lot of people wanted to see some of that, and then like you said, disappointed in the feature at the end of the night. But it was about what I expected, to be honest with you, and the likely suspects. Hocevar, Gibbs, just guys that obviously don't use their head very clearly at times. So yeah, some of that was probably just a recipe for disaster that you could see coming. But I don't know, it's fine. Like you said, it's a last chance qualifier. You're gonna see guys get desperate and just try to make the show. So entertaining. It got a little long, I would say, as a viewer. Like
It
I was
did
ready to
it
start the
did get a
feature
little
a while
long.
before that, but because some of those guys, like you could just tell, weren't gonna factor into who was actually transferring, which is just stupid. But I don't know. Good TV. We only do it once a year, so why not? But
Yeah, no,
I was
I
good with it.
I liked it a lot. You're definitely correct on that. It did get a little long winded there toward the end.
Yeah, like that last 20 minutes was
Yeah,
unnecessary.
yeah, for sure. But like when you've got these guys that are, I mean, literally tackling each other with
Yeah,
vehicles to get to
legit.
the start finish line, it just makes for that kind of stuff. So speaking of Wreckfest, Ty Gibbs, man,
Yeah,
you mentioned it a second ago, dude. That was
yeah,
awesome. Honestly, it
yeah.
was crazy. I I would assume that the wheels, that the tires hit each other, and that was what
I
caused that. But
somehow
like,
climbed up the other one.
whoa,
Yeah, it's
it climbed the
unreal.
ladder. He had
Yeah.
he had the whole car off the ground.
I've never seen it like that before in my life, but not that anybody tries that very often. I don't think that's what Ty
Right?
was really going for either, but
Yeah,
impressive if he was.
if he was and he pulled that off, that's wild. Yeah, I, I I think he was just trying to door him and
Definitely,
just pull right down
definitely.
pit road real quick and just try and take some damage to the 7 car. But he catches the tire, goes airborne for a second. I want to know what he was thinking in the car when he just tried to door this guy.
Darn near hit a kickflip out there. It was
Dude,
crazy.
he just takes the car, trying to door him, and just all of a sudden, okay, I'm up in the air. Like just,
And legit like 3 feet. The front
he
end was like
got
3 feet
he
off the
got
ground. Like
serious air.
impressive. Yeah.
He looking because obviously they're all in Han systems and they're all completely basically bolted down in the car. He is literally looking up at the sky, like
Thought it was a SpaceX rocket taking off for a little bit.
he's
Like that was probably what his view out of the
gone.
cockpit for a second. Yeah, it was just
It
straight sky, which is saying
was.
something.
It was.
That Bowman Gray, no less.
It. It.
Smallest, shortest
I'll.
track we'll see all year.
I'll tell you what, man. It lived up to its name, the Madhouse.
Yep,
It really did. It like truly, honestly did. Did you
it
see
was awesome.
NASCAR did a documentary on the Madhouse that they had posted on YouTube? Um, I
It
I want
was
to say Fox
on.
probably worked with them.
Yeah, so the new Tubi channel they have, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Tubi,
I think it's
the
Tubi.
NASCAR channel that they put out last week. I had that on during the day on Sunday beforehand, which is great, by the way. Super great. Hats again, NASCAR, you nailed it. Like it's awesome. But I think they had it on throughout the day on Sunday, so I was seeing bits and pieces of it, and it looked pretty cool. But I was chasing little guy around our house and everything too, so caught little bits here and there. But no, the more you can do, like we talked about before we started recording, like the more we can go back to go forward and make it good and make it a quality product, the better
Yep.
the sport's going to be. The more
Yep.
history you keep bringing back, keep making things work. Like, and we'll talk more as this year goes on. Going to Rockingham and bringing back North Wilkesboro, like when those things come back and they get modernized just enough, and then it puts on a great show. It's the best thing that could happen to the sport. It's the best thing that can happen. Just keep,
Absolutely.
and to use a football term for the week, just keep running the ball. Like just keep running it
Yeah, no,
and just don't stop.
I couldn't agree more. I think that when we first switched to the next gen car, NASCAR adopted a next gen mindset with it, if that makes
100%.
sense, and
100%.
was really
They
trying
they were
to
chasing drive to survive. We started chasing
yes,
drive to
yes.
survive.
And while Drive to Survive is great and it's had a lot of success,
Awesome.
it's not what we are. It's
No.
not. It's really not. The racing style is completely different. The cars are completely different. The fan base is completely different. Like it's just not the same. It's night and day
No.
difference, and you're chasing something that you don't have the capabilities of reaching that point. Just like they don't have the capabilities of reaching some of the things that we do. Their sport is so about hitting their marks and everything like that.
Right.
Where we're yes we're hitting our marks, but we're playing offense and defense at the same time. It's so different. So it like you said to your point, it's great to see them going back to find those older fans who have gone away from the sport
Yep.
to get them back into it. And I think that will spiral down to the next generation as well. I
I,
really do.
well, my only thing is like, and we talked about it already, but compare the LA Coliseum to last weekend, like, and just the racing, like just what we saw in the feature, even or the heats, whatever. A new fan, young fan that was watching, why would they have liked the Coliseum more than Bowman Gray? Like, what about it was better? The racing was not as good.
Nothing.
Yeah, I just like you can't sell a product if you're a racing series of any kind. You can't sell a product that emphasizes something other than the racing. Like that doesn't make any sense. And I think there's an old cliche phrase, I don't remember how it goes, but it's something along the lines like if you try to constantly improve yourself and change yourself, you actually lose yourself in the process. And I think that's what NASCAR was kind of doing there. So
Yep.
I'm not asking for wholesale changes at all. I think they're on the right track and I think they're doing good things, but you got to move. Here's another cliche. You got to move back to move forward sometimes. And I think
Yep.
that was evident this weekend.
Yeah, great success for this weekend. I was really excited with it. Let's move on now to the feature. To start out, Chase Elliott just absolutely dominated. I mean, Alan
Yeah.
Gustafson, Chase Elliott, and that whole 9 team, they just showed up. They showed up to work. They
Yep.
showed up not to mess around or anything like that. Obviously, last year and the year before, not what they were wanting, and I think they really tried to set the tone this weekend and remind everybody that Chase is still that guy. And
Yep.
the message came through. It
Yep.
rang through. That's obviously I'm a Chase Elliott fan, but that's not even the fan in me talking. That is the race fan in me talking. I was genuinely impressed. I think this was the first time in 2 seasons, 3 seasons maybe, where Chase was by far the best Hendrick car out there. It wasn't close.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like he definitely was best car out of his stable, out of the Hendrick box, and best car in the field for sure. Like from Saturday at 4 o'clock on, like it was immediate. He was back to old Chase, and like we talked about a little bit earlier too. Like got to be a confidence boost a little bit. I know it doesn't pay any points. You wish it counted as a win to get in the playoffs and all that, but you got to start somewhere, and maybe this is what he needed. And it's not like he had a bad year last year. I mean, the guy was the points leader for a good half of the year, probably. So just a way to build off of it to finish races and hopefully win some of them here, and just kind of take that next step into padding a playoff seeding or a playoff lead.
I couldn't agree more. Moving on from Hendrick to another team, I was blown away by Trackhouse this weekend. Like just
Yeah,
genuinely shocked.
they're
I
they.
was. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's a team. Talk about a little bit of modernization. They have nailed the modern marketing
Yeah.
and PR, and like
Yep.
it is old NASCAR with new NASCAR. Their paint schemes are awesome. The haulers are even like if you, I don't, I'm a nerd like that. I saw their hauler designs, like everything about
They
them.
look great.
Just a round of applause, man. They are absolutely crushing it right now.
And I really wanted to highlight, yes, Trackhouse was great. Ross looked great all weekend. Even Daniel Suarez at times had some moments that were pretty solid. But the
It's supposed
one
to
that
be a
I
good
wanted
track
to
for
talk
him.
about, yeah, but the one that I wanted to talk about was SVG.
Oh yeah, oh
Wow.
yeah. Buy all the
I
stock.
mean, we come into this year thinking he is just going to be a strictly road course merchant. Just
Mhm.
strictly that, like that. Those are his only shots at winning. He's got no shot at winning an oval. His only chance to get into the playoffs is to win a road course race. His only chance to advance into the playoffs is to win a road course race.
Mhm.
He might win an oval this year. I mean, genuinely, like that was impressive. That's leaps and bounds above where I thought that 88 team was going to be this weekend.
Yeah.
I was impressed that he made the show, but
Oh
was
yeah.
just
It
shocked at how
and
great they were.
yeah. I mean, I think he benefited. Obviously, credit to him, but I think he benefited from getting in on Saturday and advance. I don't know if pound for pound him in the LCQ would have been as successful. Not saying that like that's a total detriment because there's a lot of guys that struggled in that race anyway. But no, been a big fan since he came over a couple years ago and won the Chicago Street Race. Like I'm pulling for him. I hope this is something that he, like you said, he develops into something more than just hey, in road courses where we go right and left. And yeah, why not? I mean, seems to be a quick learner. He was good in the Daytona Summer Race last year until he blew up too. I mean, he was, I guess, towards the end, he was making a late charge and lost an engine. So why not?
Yeah,
He's a professional race car driver. He's going to figure this stuff out. If you're one of the best in the world, that's just how it goes.
yeah, very very impressed with him. Him making this move is the move that Marcus Ambrose never could make. And
Yeah,
as unfortunate as that is, I loved Marcus Ambrose, but there just was a disconnect when it came to the ovals. And
yeah,
that's kind of been the narrative here with SVG coming into this is like, okay, well, okay, yeah, well, he's great on the road courses, but last I checked, the final four or final four races aren't road course races, so doesn't
hmm
really matter at this point. I mean, talk about a genuine threat that I had no clue was going to be this much of a threat. I obviously knew that he was a threat because he can win any road course at any time at any point of the schedule, but like just to come in here into that environment alone. Like it would be different if he did this in Martinsville. I would be impressed. It would be different if he did this at like Phoenix. I'd still be impressed. But to go here at this track that is, I mean, it just looked difficult. It really
Oh
looked
yeah,
difficult on these drivers.
yeah.
And for him to come out and just like, here we go. Let's do this. And it was really cool to see. So hats off to the Trackhouse guys, and a even bigger hat off to the Kiwi himself, Mr. Shane Van Giesbergen.
And, and I think to maybe hit the reset button a little bit. I think some realistic expectations for him, and we maybe talk about it next week too, getting ready for Daytona. But if he can seriously run, like take a win or two away out of a short or a road course, like say he does get Chicago and he goes and wins one or two more of those, and like obviously that'll put him top 10 in the points. If he can run top 20 in the points with like take the wins out and be like a top 20 guy, that's a that's a phenomenal year for a first year guy in Cup with very little oval experience. Like I'm not even expecting necessarily that, and I still would consider that a success for him. This isn't the only year he's going to do this. He's going to be back for a while here. The progression that he's shown already is impressive, and this is his car. The Xfinity Series was okay, but like this is what he's used to, or more similarly used to driving. So I don't see why the sky's not the limit right now for the next couple of years anyway. Like it's all out in front of them right now.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, to your point real quick before we wrap this up, is, he has such a backing and sponsorship as well, and I think
Right.
he has such a international fan base
Yeah.
that as long as he stays consistent, like as long as he is having a round of 12 playoff run every other year, he could stick around for a while. I mean, I don't see him going
Yeah.
anywhere with the fan base he's got, with the fan base he's bringing to NASCAR, and with the sponsorship he's able to bring as well. You think Trackhouse is going to kick him to the curb? I don't
No,
see it happening.
no. And I think the way he's being marketed again, to go back to to Trackhouse and the way they've just nailed everything marketing and PR related,
They
it feels
really
like
they really have. I mean,
they,
seriously.
they've got him. I just don't know if it was because we were younger or was too young to pay attention. I don't remember Ambrose, and this isn't a knock on him, but I just don't remember him being as willing to stick himself out there and accept NASCAR as much. Like SVG went and ran. I think he's run a Cars to a race already, if I'm not mistaken. I know he's run a truck race at like Gateway, no IRP, but like he's trying different things. He's running other short track stuff. He's running dirt cars now. Kyle Larson's trying to work with him in some of that stuff. Like he's trying all the stuff. He's really immersing himself into NASCAR and just what it really is, and all the other disciplines of racing that kind of fall in place along with NASCAR. Like he's here, if he puts his roots down here, he can be here as long as he wants, to your point. Like there's no reason not to.
No, I couldn't agree more. I'm really impressed by them this weekend. Shane Van Gisbergen, great weekend for them. You know who else had a great weekend? And I can't believe I'm still getting shocked by this because he does it so often.
Yeah,
Ryan Blaney, dude.
dude,
Dude, that guy
rocket.
could drive a car. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was
if
the other thing. Sorry to
if
interrupt.
no, no, good, good.
My ADD just kicked in a little bit. um HBO, everybody listening, I don't know if we mentioned this last week. If you have, it's called Max now. If you have HBO Max, whatever that's called now, the app, they're doing live in-car cameras for all drivers in the Cup Series race every year, or every week this year. So I actually jumped on Blaney's onboard to start, and it was kind of like, okay, this guy's not doing anything. He just kind of like poking the stick with the meme, like, okay, time to go. And slowly but surely, the dude just starts picking people off. And it happened at Martinsville the last couple of years now. And it is truly just one of the more impressive things to watch as he just chips away and just chips away. And nobody, other big movers they show you on the Fox broadcast were passing like 3, 4 cars. Blaney had already knocked down, I think, 9 or 11 guys. It's like
half the pack,
it's
like just
shocking.
it's crazy to watch. It really is. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just like because with that track, once they get into single file, it's so difficult to make these moves.
yeah.
And it's like we're sitting here racing single file, and I swear, every time I looked at the pylon on the side of the screen,
He
he'd be
moved.
up a spot, up two
Yep,
spots, up a
yep.
spot, up 2 spots. I'm like, what is going on with this guy? And then he gets
Right.
to the front, and I'm like, well, here we go.
Yeah.
Like Chase is gonna
I,
get run over here, and I shouldn't say run over, but just gonna get passed, and I'm gonna be upset.
and I do think that's part of why the feature was maybe a cleaner race is when you get to that cream of the crop level of the sport, those top 15 guys, like they race each other with just an extra level of respect that they're not knocking the wheels off of each other at all times, which is maybe not what you want at Bowman Gray, but like at the same time, if you're a fan, get used to it because that's how this works. So yeah, when he got there, the only way he was going to get by Chase is if he put him in the fence somewhere. Like there was no way. Chase is just good, and
I
yeah,
love
that
what he
was
said too. I didn't want to get chased out
yeah.
of there with pitchforks.
He would have, and he absolutely would have.
He,
Like he's right.
that crowd was so behind Chase. It was
Oh
awesome.
yeah, oh yeah. Like
It
that
was
was yeah,
unfortunate that we didn't get to hear it, but we'll get to that.
yeah. Yeah,
We will
well,
get to that here in a minute.
they
I
only
got
hit
a
a dollar
bone
short.
to pick.
Yeah, you deservedly so. But the one thing I'll say about Ryan, and then we can move on, is we'll talk about the broadcast and some of the shortcomings, but at least they showed replays, and you never saw any replays in the feature of Ryan having to move a guy or dumping a guy to gain a spot. Like he touched nobody up until like Denny for second
Yeah.
and Kyle Busch in as a lapper. Like he made no contact with anybody at a track where everybody else seemingly had to use a crowbar to get by somebody. Like the car and he are just so good at those flat short tracks. It's truly unbelievable what they're able to do.
I saw something the other day, a meme, NASCAR meme, that it was a picture. It said if Ryan Blaney was in Hendrick equipment, and it was a picture of Jimmy Johnson. I was like, it's like, you
I
know
don't know,
what?
man. I don't
But
know.
that's true.
Maybe,
Like
but like
Hendrick hasn't brought a great product to Phoenix too. So I
that's the
don't want to just
thing.
like
Like
count straight to that.
he might have 3 more wins a regular season, but like
Yeah.
probably not winning a championship. Maybe close, but maybe,
Who knows? He probably could have hopped in that 24 car and just ran away.
maybe,
I don't know,
maybe.
man. He's so impressive. He really is.
So good,
He's
so good.
ridiculously impressive to watch. It's a lot of fun. I think for a while there, NASCAR had such an identity problem, and we're starting to get back to the
Yep,
point where a lot of
it's
these
coming.
drivers are starting to develop these. I think that
Personality.
this
Yep,
the NAS
presence.
another great thing NASCAR did here. We've been just shouting out NASCAR this whole
Yeah.
podcast.
Hey,
The driver the
call it as you see it.
driver the driver I don't know what the technical term for it was, but basically where they're paying the drivers to go out and
Oh,
promote the sport.
yeah, yeah,
What was that
promotional
project
driver.
called? Driver promotion,
I
something
don't
like
remember
that. But
yeah, you're right. I don't remember the
it's
name either.
great. It's great. I love it. Like we gotta get personalities and faces with these names outside of the car, because that's the challenge that you're always going to face in racing, is the
Yep.
fact that these guys wear helmets inside of a car. So when you think of Ryan Blaney, you don't think of the dude that has a beard and has, dark hair and wears aviators.
What he
You
looks
think
like.
you
Yeah,
think of a chartreuse yellow 12 car,
yeah,
and for the most part that's every driver, I would say, except for Chase, but that's a different situation.
mm,
But
yeah,
when you think of these drivers, you don't think of their face for the most part. It's their car, that, so that they're already at a disadvantage in that. So it's cool to see them
yeah,
really attacking this and making this a priority to get these drivers' personality out there. So again, another kudos for NASCAR here.
yeah.
We're giving them
That
all
might
the
be
love here.
more positivity we've given them in one episode than I think
I think
all
so.
the other ones combined so
I
far.
just can't believe I was, with it being a short track, I was I was expecting it to be and I hate to be negative. I was expecting it to be a regular next gen short track crapshoot.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't have the highest hopes in those regards. So
I think that trend's slowly been changing anyway. Like I do think they've improved the next gen. I think 2024 was the best year of short tracks, obviously, anyway. But they've had 3 years to work on it now, so I think they truly are starting to figure some stuff out with the tire. It sounds like that's really kind of the point of emphasis at this point. And yeah, I thought it was going to be the Coliseum again. Is truly what I thought. I really never realized how different the two tracks were, but that big of a difference was enough. And yeah, they nailed it.
yeah, it was great. Moving on here to Denny Hamlin, another guy I was just very impressed with all of the questions coming into this year that will literally follow him for the rest of his career, for the rest
Yeah,
of his time in NASCAR. Every year we're going to ask the same question that we ask when every great driver gets older: is when do they slow down? And this was such a suspect year I think heading in for a lot of people because he just lost Gabe Hart. There's been so many
Yeah.
changes with the team, with the car, with Joe Gibbs Racing as a whole that I mean, the speculation's right to be there. I don't want to say that somebody's
Mhm.
wrong for having that speculation. So
Don't you think there
I
might be a benefit to switching a crew chief? Like, I know it might take some time to figure that out, but like, I was kind of wondering too when they announced it. And yeah, it feels weird late in his career, but maybe that's a good thing, isn't it? I
yeah,
don't know if
I
it's
think
such a
if it's
negative.
if no, if it's the right situation, I think so. I think that there's just some guys who just it clicks. I think that
Hmm.
some guys just work really well together and they're always going to be your untouchable pair that you can't split. Your Paul Wolfs and your Joey Logano's. For so long there, your Gabe Harts and your Hamlins. But yeah, I think once you kind of reach a plateau and you're
Yeah,
kind of at a point where it's like, hey, we've had the same result for the last 5 years and kind
exactly.
of done having the same result. Like, I don't think it's a bad idea to move and shake things up. And it's not like with their situation too. I mean, Gabe Hart's still in the building. It's not like he's gone.
Right.
He just took a promotion. Now he's with all of the teams rather than just being with the 11. So yeah, I definitely see what your point there. I mean, I think there'll always be those guys that at certain points of their career you don't want to, you don't want to go splitting up Alan Gustafson and Chase at this point. But yeah, I mean, if you're getting to a point in your career where you're really kind of running the same every year and you're having the same results at the end of the year, like what are you doing by not spicing it up? Like,
Yeah.
is Denny really cool with losing in the round of 8 every year? I don't think
Right.
so. I'm sure he's pretty
No.
fed up with it actually.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great move for them.
Right. And the other thing to that too, like, imagine he comes out here in the first 10 weeks of the year and wins 3, 4 races. The conversation is immediately going to become Denny's pissed because he didn't do this earlier. You know,
Yeah,
they've
honestly,
they've
that's a
they've
good
been
point.
they've been running the same thing back with him and Gabehart the last few years, thinking like, "Yep, this is the one that's going to win. Like, this is it. We're not going to make any changes to the team. We're not going to make any changes to the roster. This, that, the
Yeah.
other thing. Just run it
Then they
back
will.
and
Yeah.
don't get there. And then all of a sudden, you make one little, seems like a small switch. It's obviously not, but like throw one new crew chief in and it clicks, and he wins 4 races. He's in the final 4. Maybe he wins a championship. Like, who's how many what ifs are we going to hear about Denny Hamlin? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's potential here to really make this thing go. And Denny's not getting any younger. I'm not saying he's done, but like you said, when is the other shoe going to drop?
Yeah, and I think that was my point here is like coming into this year and every year from here on out, that's going to be the conversation to start the year.
Hmm.
Until he gets that first win, until he gets, the first 2 wins, it's always going to be a conversation because we see it. We see these guys, they have these legends just have the steep, some of them
Oh,
drop-offs.
brutal. Yeah,
Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch comes to mind, Martin
Tony
Truex
Stewart.
Jr., well, I don't know
There
about
were
Tony
other things
Stewart.
with him, but yeah, after like 2012, it
Yeah,
was it was never
it had
really
it
the
had it
same.
slowed down a bunch. No, you're 100% right. I I just, I think for them to come into this year with all those questions and everything, I think right out the gate they set a precedence. Instead of the questions this week being, "Oh, Denny Hamlin, I how much longer you think you can do this? Do you think this was a good move? Do you think that whatever? Do you think you can still do this for another 5 years?" Like whatever those questions would have been. I think the focus has completely shifted now. The questions when he gets to Daytona are not going to be about his age. They're not going to be about can he still do
Mhm.
this. They're going to be about what he's excited about this year. But they're going to be about the lawsuit. They're going to be about other
Yeah, he's
things
got
that
enough going on
it's
anyway.
yeah, right. So hats off to Denny. Seriously, big kudos to him for being able to have such a performance there um, in that one. It was impressive. I was happy to
Yep.
see him have the day that he had. Okay, here it is. This is my bone to pick with NASCAR. Not
Good
with
because I have
NASCAR.
one too.
Not with NASCAR. With Fox.
Not
Is your
necessarily,
is your
not
bone with
necessarily, but
NASCAR? Who's your
no,
bone
it's
with?
with Fox. It's with
Okay.
Fox. We're good.
I overall not counting what I'm upset about. thought that Fox did a solid job. I thought with the pre-race promotions, I
It was
thought
solid.
with the way that they had brought everything together for this, I think that they did a very solid job. My bone to pick. We have very loud cars out there. And we went to a place called the Madhouse. And it's called the Madhouse because of the fans in the stands, because they're so loud, they're so crazy, they're so amped up. Why can't we hear them? Why? Because we're sitting here watching this race. This is so frustrating for me because I'm sitting here watching this race and Chase moves Denny and takes it, and we hear Harvick and Boyer call it out. I thought Harvick, Boyer, and Mike Joy did a great job too. I was
Yeah,
happy with that crew
pretty
in their
good.
call. We hear them bring it up. Oh man, you can hear the crowd right now. No, I can't. I cannot hear the crowd right now actually
Right.
at all. I can't hear
That's the
a
thing
peep.
is
They
they
could
kept saying
be
it.
yeah, they could be as loud as a nuclear bomb or they could be as quiet as a mouse and I would have not a damn clue. Not a clue.
Yep.
Nothing. Nada. That's and the other thing, this was the bad one for me. The burnout. Who doesn't love a screaming engine that is just
True.
shredding
Didn't even think of
tires
this.
off?
Yeah.
I mean, Chase Elliott delivered a awesome,
Good one.
awesome
Yeah.
burnout. You know how much of it we heard? None.
No.
Nothing.
No.
That's a problem. Why? Like
Never thought of that. That's a good point.
just it's so simple.
Yep.
Take a microphone. It doesn't have to be anything big, fancy, crazy. Take your standard microphone, plug an XLR cable into it, and just set it somewhere. Point it toward the crowd. They'll do the rest. They will do the rest. You don't have to do anything. The guy in the back has to push the button to bring up the volume, and he pushes the button to bring it down. That's it. It's that simple.
It's not good for Fox when the guy complaining actually knows how to do it too. That's the
That
problem.
see, that's what I'm
They're
saying.
kind of painted in a corner here.
It's not hard. I can tell you right now, it's not hard. I can. You ready for this? Am I quiet?
Yep.
Am I louder now? Am I louder?
Yep.
It's as simple as, I mean, now I got to figure out where my mic was adjusted to. It's as simple as that. There's a little gauge that you can turn up and you can turn down. All you got to do is plug that bad boy in and set it up on top of the grandstands. You don't even have to have it in the fans' view where they could rip at it, throw it around, whatever, because it is the madhouse. Just put it somewhere. We got to hear
Yep.
this crowd. And it just drove me crazy to hear Clint and Kevin and those guys because they were doing a great job calling it, great job of telling what's going on. That's your job when you're doing play-by-play and color analyzing. That's your job. They're doing a great job of it. But the problem is the guy in the back in the audio booth, I don't know if he just didn't turn it up or what. We can't hear
No.
anything. Oh
They
man,
never
can you
they
hear
never
the
had it.
roar of the crowd right now? No, I can't hear anything. All I can hear
Yeah.
is Mike Joy's incredibly soothing voice. That's it. That's all I
Which
can
is
hear,
never really a bad thing. But yeah,
which is
no,
never
I'm
really a
with you.
bad thing. But
And the thing that's really
God,
annoying about it is NBC, another NASCAR broadcast team who has literally done half of the season in step with Fox for how long, has had this technology for 5+ years that they've had that crowd noise mic and you can always hear the cars. And yeah, it's a little thing, or like if you're watching this show for the first time, you've never seen a NASCAR race, like it's a nice little bonus to the viewing experience. A big part of NASCAR or any auto racing is getting to see it in person and how different the sensory experience is. TV can at least help you a little bit, to your point. And I agree 100%. The more
it's
you can
just
do with that, the better it's going to be.
I can tell you, I got a degree in media. Nat sound, natural sound. The slang term for it in our industry is nat sound, nat pops, whatever you want to call it. It's everything. It makes or breaks a story. It makes or breaks all of it. If you're watching a package on the news and they're doing a story about mail-in voting, it adds to the story to hear the mailbox go, set it in. Like
Yeah.
It adds to it. If it was silent, it's weird because you're seeing things and not hearing them. You have
It's
a
true.
NASCAR, one of the loudest things possibly in America, sitting in front of you right now. I mean, that is half the sport.
For
As you
sports,
mentioned,
yeah.
we're a sensory sport. As great as racing is, and as much as I love racing and you do too, half the appeal of this sport is the noise, is the rumble in your
Big part
chest.
of it. Absolutely.
That is what makes the TV broadcast. You've got to bring us there. We got to feel like
Yep.
at home that we're there. We got to feel like, okay, wow, Chase is burning it down, and I can hear that engine screaming. He has got that
Hmm.
floor, that pedal down to the floor. So that's my bone. Overall, I was pleased with the Fox broadcast. Just give me a little Nat sound, man. Give me a little Nat pop. That's all I'm asking for. Just
Nap. We're here for nap pops.
give me the give me the sound. Give me the sound of a car engine screaming. It's our
I'm
sport.
gonna. I can't wait to keep using nap pop. I'm taking that home with me. We're gonna
There you
bust
go.
that out here
See,
as the year
you
goes
taught
on.
me you taught me something this weekend. I taught you tons of fun. I've used that like 3
Tons of fun.
times this week already.
That's a good one. It
I
never
had
gets old.
never heard that before. Carter
Oh, that's
walks
good.
away. Carter Klon's brother walks away and goes to the bathroom. He'd been gone for so long. I don't even know how he's gone for like
Mall of
30
America needs to
minutes.
build a couple more bathrooms.
They
Problem for
they
that place.
probably
That place has none. That fourth floor is desolate. That thing is a desert now in terms of looking for a bath. It's a desert anyway up there. It feels like, but compared to what it used to be, jeez.
But we're standing there and Klon looks at us and goes, or somebody was like, "Where's Carter?" You're like, "I don't know, tons of fun, probably got lost." And I just like, dude, I had never heard that before. It was just like the funniest thing I ever heard,
Yeah,
dude.
it's great. I got it from somebody a few years ago, and I've abused it to no end. I'm sure,
Oh,
but
dude.
I'm never going to stop saying it. It's
Oh,
awesome.
I'm
I
on it
love it.
now. I'm on it now. Like I said, I've already used it. I saw you on
It's a good
Saturday.
one.
It hasn't even been a week, and I've already used it like 3 or 4 times, seeing tons of fun.
That's
Just,
normal. It's a daily
oh
thing for
man.
me, basically.
Whew.
Absolutely. But yeah, no. Speaking of coming forward with technology, and living in reality and trying to make an experience lifelike.
Is this your bone to pick?
Yeah, I could really
Okay.
go for Fox using pictures of humans again to show us what the drivers look like. That'd be
And
sweet.
update them. Denny is still buzz cutted.
I, it's preposterous that we're even having this conversation. That we've decided that drawings of the athletes in all sports for Fox are better than just showing us real live pictures of the people. I
Here's
don't quite
Denny Hamlin
understand.
looking like he's in a Batman cartoon.
I,
Like,
I need I need to know at Fox, and I think we've talked about it on this podcast before. I've tweeted about it before. I know, but I need to know who at Fox, like which executive, vice president, whatever, whose kid they had to hire to create that just to give somebody a job, because that's all that can be is like, hey, my kid needs a job. He or she's got this one idea. It sucks, but they need a
which one
job.
of the kids at
Yep.
Fox Sports has a graphic design degree that was just struggling to figure
Couldn't
something
find a
out?
job.
Couldn't find a job. They tried to at every ends meet to try and figure something out. It didn't work. And now we make superhero logos for the
Uh,
athletes.
it's ridiculous. I mean,
It is.
to
It
your
totally
point,
is.
Denny having a buzz cut. No offense to these guys, but like Kyle Larson's not starting at middle linebacker for the Vikings next year. He's not 6'5", 250. Like, you draw the apex on these guys with the massive upper bodies.
It's
Like,
too.
they don't look like that. No
They
offense to them
absolutely
either,
do.
but like, even if that was me, I'd even be like, okay, like you're kind of setting a bad expectation for the rest of the world here when they
My
finally
wife
see
is gonna
you.
be pissed when she
Yeah,
sees that I don't actually have an
like
A back.
ridiculous. What are we even doing? Just it's been four years now. I think
Yeah.
three or 4 years. Like, what? How are we still doing this? The
It,
whole
it
world.
was
Nobody likes them.
it
Nobody
was
likes
cool. It
this.
was cool when it started. It's much like the Clash and everything
It was
else.
cool for one race. If they
Yeah.
would have done it for one weekend, I'd have been
And
like,
now
all right,
it's
that was
now it's
fine.
overstayed its welcome. It's like, dude,
4 years
i-
ago.
it's like that buddy that can't get the hint at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're just trying to go to bed and he's sitting there still
Yeah,
just yapping. It's like, bro,
we're done.
go home,
Yep.
please. It's done. You've overstayed your welcome.
Oh,
So,
it is. I watch old races 4 nights a week probably before I go to bed. very rarely from the last couple of years just because they're fresh. So I go way back to like the 80s and 90s. The broadcasts
You
from the
watch them on the
90s were like
NASCAR Classics thing?
NASCAR classics, or you just find them on YouTube if you
Yeah, that's what
once
I've
on
been
specific.
doing. I've
But
been watching them on
um,
YouTube.
but that's just always a picture of the driver, and then it's always something lifelike, and then the driver representation throughout a race day broadcast or green flag to checkered flag the broadcast was so much better 20 years ago than it is right now. It's stupid.
Question for you. Question for you, real quick, because I feel like this character, I'll say, was either loved or hated by many in our sport. What did you think about Digger?
The digger cam, I thought it was fine. I mean, I don't know why it was so hated. I don't understand, but I do know what
I
you're
didn't
saying that it exists, but like,
I loved Digger, dude. I had like a stuffed animal Digger when I was a
yeah,
kid. Like
I
I
don't know
loved that
why.
thing.
I don't know how
Everybody
we
hated it
decided.
too. I never got it. Everybody always hated on it, but it was awesome. He like pokes his head out, looks back, sees the cars driving at him, screams, and goes back in the hole. Like it's like
Yeah,
funny,
for those that don't have any idea what we're talking about, Digger was an animated groundhog, I think, by Fox,
something like that.
that paired with their NASCAR broadcast. So like their camera angles from on the ground were considered the Digger cam. And yeah, like you said, there'd be a little animated groundhog that'd pop up in a cartoonish way, look behind them, see the cars coming, and then jump back down in a hole, and you'd get just the camera shot. That's all it was. It didn't really take away from the race at all. Yeah, I
No,
don't
it
know.
didn't.
I don't know why that went away. Now that
Anyway,
you say it,
sorry.
I don't
That
really
is
know, but
again.
it's a good question.
I'm going way far off topic here. My bad.
The fact that we're content with using superhero characters as pictures rather than having an animated groundhog digging holes
Exactly.
on the track. I
Exactly.
don't where we draw the line on all that. I don't know, but I feel like we kind of missed it. So I don't know.
Exactly.
Fox still hasn't impressed me, but that's not any one thing.
No, I agree. It
I hope the 500 is better, but it just feels like having a three-person booth just has never really worked. Even since Jeff jumped in 2016, like it just feels like it's not right. Like they
were you
need.
a fan of the Larry Mack, Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip days?
If I had a if I had it my way, it was better then because Daryl and Larry work so well in tandem as like driver and crew chief. If I had it my way, I would just do Mike Joy and Larry McReynolds. That's all I need. Maybe have a driver for perspective, so I understand having Kevin. I don't need Clint anymore. I don't. He doesn't really add a whole lot. I understand the redneck party animal. They should have Clint going and just like doing hits on the tailgate camping scene at every track. Like that should be his job. And then don't need to call the race. Like I don't know. It's just it was again like it'd be fun if Clint did like one race a year and then that was it. But I'm a little worried for the 500 already. I think that it's just not what it used to be. Yeah, again, I'd say that a lot with some of the stuff, but yeah, I just wish they'd clean the booth up a little bit. It feels like there's just too many voices trying to go in too many different directions.
No, I can see what you're saying on that one, definitely.
And they got to zoom the cameras out, man. Are you kidding me? Like, if I get one more zoom in on a car where I can see the guy's logos on his gloves, like, I want to see his gloves from 500 yards away so I can see him moving them, but I don't need to read them, you know?
Yeah, and
My
I
gosh,
feel
I
like
felt like
that's what we
half the
have the
race was in a window.
right, and I feel like that's what we have the in-car camera for. If you're that worried about getting that up close with the driver in the car, just take
Right,
the in-car. You've got a
right.
camera right there in the driver's passenger side. Like
Yeah,
just take that one. It's there for that reason. So
exactly.
I totally agree with you on that one. Real quick before we close that out on the class, we got two more things to talk about. I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was really cool, and we will move on to the next one right after this. I will say, well, I guess I'll wrap this into the where next. Okay. Where do we go next with the clash? Sorry. I'm getting way all over the place here. But
You're good.
where do we go next with the clash?
Where do I, if they're not going to change the car enough to make super speedway racing more traditional, I'll call it, or
Enjoyable.
just Yeah. Enjoy it would be more enjoyable, obviously too. But I just more individual based, I guess, rather than like these cars have to be hooked bumper to bumper for 5 straight to do anything. Anyway, if they're not going to fix that, I'm good with Bowman Gray. I don't know. Like somebody said, they need to go when it's warmer. Well, I mean, to be fair, like they're only selling 20,000 seats. Like I think they're going to have no trouble doing that next year either. And it might be warmer in North Carolina at this time. I don't really know what the weather's like, if it's always in the 40s or whatever, but I'm fine with Bowman Gray.
Do you
I,
think
I,
there
I
is
think that's the move.
do you think there's an opening or an opportunity for this to be a points race?
No, no, I don't want you never be able to put 36 to 40 cars out there. And then
Well,
I don't want a points race
that's
that
just
follows
20.
like
Okay,
the heat race format. I don't know.
gotcha.
It needs pit stops. It needs
It does.
everything.
I see that.
It could be the
I
all-star
could see
race.
that.
I saw somebody say it could be the all-star race. I'm
Yeah,
fine with that.
yeah,
That'd be
that
fun.
would be
But
cool.
no, not points.
I think we should do something where, and I'm not saying we go away from the madhouse here, because if we want to do that again next year, like again, I'm cool with it. I would like to do something where we go around to historic tracks, where we go around to Hickory, where we go to
Yeah.
Six Flags, then we hit the madhouse again and keep something on a rotation. Not only will that really just boost the overall feeling of it, it'll keep the crowds hyped. Nothing gets overstayed on its welcome. There's always that shift. We are prioritizing our grassroots fans, and this was the thing I was going to bring up before. It helps them so much. Like bringing
Yeah.
this race to the madhouse, they have safer barriers. They have updated and
Lights.
upgraded lights. They have upgraded seating. They have upgraded bathrooms, concession stands. Like all of this brought in so much revenue for those short tracks. And in a world where, I mean, I saw it firsthand last year. I got to go a bunch to State Park Speedway in Wausau, and there's some of the best racers you could name have raced there. Mark Martin,
Mhm.
Dave Marcus, Ty Majeski's raced there. So like just some huge names, Kolwicki, just some of the
Mhm.
biggest names in racing have spent time there and raced there. And it's such a shame to see tracks like that, like Rockford and these local short tracks shut down. And for us to reward tracks that their fan bases have been so loyal that the whole town genuinely comes to every Saturday night. It's awesome. I really liked that
Yeah.
aspect of it, and giving them the reward, and not just that too, like the town benefited from this. Like the
Yeah.
economic impact of
Massively.
this
Oh
was
yeah.
huge. There were
Yeah.
thousands of people that came in and ate at the restaurants, stayed in hotels, went and did, whatever their touristy stuff is. Like this benefited not just the track, but this benefited Winston, Salem, North Carolina. Like it benefited so much more than
Yeah.
just the track. And on top of that, it benefited the track to get the safer barriers and to get the lights and everything like
Yeah.
that. So I I would like to see that, and we go around and we reward these short tracks, these local short tracks that have produced for years and years and years and are beaten worn down, like Hickory especially. Hickory, never been there before, but I've heard it's just because of its how historic it is and how old the track is. It's nothing against it. It's beat to
Mhm.
all crap. So let's go into Hickory. Let's replace their lighting. Let's give them a new grandstand. Let's put in safer barriers. Let's
Yeah.
get a better pit area. Let's go build them a better parking lot that isn't a I don't know if they have a gravel lot. I'm just speaking hypothetically here. Let's go in and let's do these things. Let's get fans back into, because we've talked about having, reaching back in the past and move forward. I think that's something as well. If we can get these local short tracks boosted back up, people will watch at the professional level. If they're watching at this level, at their local level, they're going to watch at the top level. So if we
Yeah.
can go find a way to get and connect with these grassroots fans again and upgrade their facilities, that's going to put a positive impact on NASCAR. They're going to be like, hey, you know, I haven't watched NASCAR in 10 years because it hasn't been what it was in the 2000s. I agree with them. But they came through and they upgraded our whole situation. They gave us a show for the whole weekend. I'm back. I'm going to watch
Yeah.
this whole season. And they sit down and they watch. And that brings in viewership and that helps NASCAR. So I would love to see somewhat of a series where every year the Clash, and this is if we're not going to bring it back to Daytona and not, because I do agree with you, I would like to see speed weeks and everything like that again. But if we're not going to do that and that's not the
Fixed
direction
car.
we're going to go in, let's go do that. Let's go
Yeah.
and rebuild these short tracks, because we have all these guys like Mark Martin. I got to cover the story and got to go meet with and interview and talk with Mark Martin, and like to see the devastated look on his face when this track from the past, from his past that he raced at when he was, a young guy, like to see the look on Mark Martin's face as he saw this place close down, you could genuinely see that these older drivers, they're devastated by this stuff. So
Right.
let's go out and let's rebuild these short tracks. There's my rant. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. I think I agree with you. I would love to see that that's what this becomes. All this talk, a couple points to what you said, like all this talk about going to Brazil or Europe or whatever, like that that's not NASCAR. Like we went to Japan once, or maybe they did it twice. I don't remember, but they haven't gone back since. You know what I mean? Like if
And
that worked so well,
that was during the peak.
yeah. If they did that, if that went so well, they'd have done it again.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason we don't. There was a good point I heard earlier this week. I don't know if it was a podcast, YouTube video, whatever I was watching, and some guy said NASCAR, talking about the Brazil thing, NASCAR shouldn't be the ones going to people. If their product is good, the fans will be going to
Yep.
NASCAR, and that's just the way it needs to be. So now with the Clash, like yeah, it would be awesome to go to all those places you're talking about. Like I would love that. I think the only problem and why this is such a unique thing is Bowman Gray can sell 20,000 seats, and none of these other tracks we're talking about can fit probably more than 5. And NASCAR's not going to build 30,000 seat grandstands for all these places. Like it's just not feasible. That's where you get really expensive. And then how much do those tracks really want a 30,000 seat stadium they're going to use once a year, once every 5 years if it's on a rotation? Like it's not really all that cost friendly, probably. So I again would love. I agree with you. Like if we could wave a magic wand and have it our way, that's what I want. If it's not going to Daytona, I just don't. I don't see it going anywhere besides like Bowman Gray, and then I heard South Boston would be close as like a potential place to hold it, and then that's about it for like the short historical tracks. Like there really aren't that many that could do it, which is the bummer. But again, maybe they figure something out with temporary seating or something. I don't know, but would love to see it. I think it's cool.
Absolutely. And like you said a minute ago, I don't think we need to be taking this to Europe, taking this to, if we
No,
want to go in there in the regular season like we're doing with Mexico this year,
or go do a
that's fine.
one-off in the middle of December. It means nothing. Just be like, hey, there's an exhibition race out here at this time. It's not the Clash. It's not a points race. It's not the
Sure.
All-Star race. It's an exhibition. Like we're just out here messing around. Whoever in the Cup Series wants to go, give them a little bit of a cash bonus for going out there or something. Who knows? But do something like that. It
Yeah.
doesn't. It just doesn't need to be. We don't need to move any of our events anywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's
that'd be
let's
like
reward let's reward the grassroots fans over trying
that'd
to
be like
create new ones.
be like moving the Rose Bowl in college football to the East Coast for a year to be
Yeah.
like, oh,
Oh
we're or
God, that would
play
be
it in Europe.
weird.
You know, like what? Why are we moving our stuff? The
Let's
whole
go
point.
race at the Rose Bowl. That's you. There it is.
No, no, we're good. We tried that once. It's fine. Like honestly, though, like why are we saying let's take the Clash and move it somewhere else? Like that should be. I know it's the Clash. Like I know it's not necessarily like one of the crown jewels of sport, but why is it not looked at as like this is what the Clash is? It has no identity right now. Give the Clash identity. Say like this is what it is. This is what it's going to be, and build it into something that people want to go to. I guarantee you right now, Bowman Gray is going to be the hardest ticket on the series to get next year.
Yeah.
So smallest stadium. It already put on a great show. If they announce that it's happening again, it's going to be a tough one. It was probably tough to get, or I guess it wasn't that tough. They announced the sellout like last fall towards the end of the year. So it wasn't the hardest ticket. It's going to be a lot tougher next time around. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what's going to. if we don't consider this a major success this week, and I don't know what NASCAR's looking at or what they're trying to do. I hope they're looking at this like this is what you want. This is exactly what you signed up for, and you got it. So like, just like I said earlier, keep running the ball. Like, just keep doing it.
I agree. To close out the show here, like I said earlier, we talk NASCAR all the time. We're gonna talk a little something different. We got the big game this Sunday, Clon. We got the
The
Super
big
Bowl
one.
this Sunday. Chiefs, Eagles in this one. Who's your Super Bowl pick?
As a Vikings fan, I hope neither necessarily. I guess I don't know. Chiefs did histories in the past, way in the past. Eagles not so much, but I I think it's gonna be a great game. To be honest with you, my brain says don't bet against Patrick Mahomes just because I've seen this picture too many times before. But I really like the Eagles roster, man. I saw Jalen Carter might be sick, so give me the Chiefs because he might be sick. Sounds like there's a flu bug going around or something, allegedly. So if that's the case, give me the
Jalen
Chiefs. But
Carter flu game, like
that's
MJ.
also true. Like, and I was just gonna say, I love the Eagles roster. Like, if they're all healthy, that team with Saquon, oh man, like that is when you drop a football team in your head, that's the one.
Their
Like
whole
that
line is
thing
just so
rocks.
great. They literally,
Yeah,
I mean, they break holes for Saquon. Not trying to take anything away from him because he had an incredible year this year and a
yeah.
career resurgence. And yes, it was very, 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 very mostly largely due in part to Saquon's talent. But man, does it help when you've got an offensive
Oh,
line that's blowing you holes you could drive a Mack truck through.
Lane
I
Johnson is one of my favorite football players in the NFL. Like
He's
that guy
awesome.
is awesome. I
He
hate that he
is.
plays for the Eagles because it's the Eagles, but he is. I wish every team had him. Like he's such a good addition to the game. Fits his identity so well. Oh,
So so
love it.
who's your pick and final score?
I'll go Chiefs. Go 27-21.
Okay.
Just think it's going to be, I don't know, late life. Again, like it's going to be one of those games where like Mahomes is just kind of playing with his food. It feels like first three quarters, they might go down 10. They'll be fine.
They probably
It's just,
will. They probably will.
I
That's
saw something
that's his
in
mantra.
all four Super Bowls that Patrick Mahomes has played, and he's been down 10 points at one time, and he's won three of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Three, right?
No,
Yeah, three of them.
he's insane. He really is.
Guy could have guy's 29 years old, could have four Super Bowls
Dude.
next week.
That's what I'm saying. After I was talking with some guys at work
He
today,
could win
after this,
13.
we're really on the cusp of maybe seeing our first ever 10 Super Bowl win
10-time Super Bowl
quarterback.
champion. Yeah,
Like really. Like
absolutely.
I think we could be on the cusp of that.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Especially at this point, I mean, he's gonna have the first ever three-peat. He's not 30 yet, and will have 4 Super Bowls.
I think
I
it's
mean, at
four.
this point,
Yeah.
at this point, he's, in my opinion, number 2 in the GOAT debate. He hasn't
I think if
surpassed
he
Brady yet, but if he
I think
wins
if he
this 4th
retires
Super Bowl,
is boy, yeah, with four. Yeah, he'd
that's
have
what
to
I'm
be.
saying. 4 in this short of a career, like, and he's already up over like 30 or 35,000 pass yards or something. Like,
Yeah.
it's
That's what I was
just
gonna say. It's the only
ridiculous.
argument you could have against him at this point is the career totals won't be that
Right,
great yet.
right.
But yeah,
But
the four Super
the
Bowls,
career
that's
total Super
undeniable.
Bowls, the career total Super Bowls will be great. I am gonna hop on the bandwagon with you. I think the Chiefs win it. Um, it was a high scoring game last time, so I'm gonna stick with that. I am gonna say the Chiefs win it 35-31. I think it's a close game. And
Okay.
I think
High
it comes
scoring.
down to a Patrick Mahomes last minute drive. Another stat I saw this week was Patrick Mahomes in last minute drives where he had to go down and score to win the game is
It's gonna be
7 and
dumb.
0. He's never lost.
Like that's
Like,
the thing, is that we watched you watch the games in the regular season and they win. I don't know how many of their 15 wins this year came via late drive field goal, late drive touchdown. People look at that and say, like, "Oh, the Chiefs aren't good. They win in one score games." But at the end of the day, like I kind of talked about too, that's the Chiefs just messing around.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fun weekend for them. Like, I get yeah, they're not intentionally trying to score on the last drive of the game, but they know they can. So it's always a
Yeah.
weapon in your bag. So
It is.
they're unbelievable, man.
Well,
It's crazy.
before we get out of here too, we've got the 2 dice rolls. Here we go, Clon. Are you ready?
Oh, good. Okay. I got 3.
2. All right.
This is bad. 3.
Oh, Clon. No, it was 2 again. Dang it.
0 for 4. So you know what? We got one more episode, and statistically speaking, I have to get it. So I might just start guessing 3 the rest of the time.
That would be a smart play if you just stuck
It,
with, because here, just a
it would've
practice roll
worked.
here. Just a practice roll. Let's see. It's 6. Never mind. Okay. Oh,
Next week's a big
tough.
one.
Next, you see, and I've already taken a 6 out for you too. So now
Okay.
three is due at this point.
I'm guessing 2 on Wednesday. No, next week,
Yes,
whatever day.
dude.
No, I'm not. I don't know. I'm gonna sit here. That's
Yeah,
gonna be the
we'll
most
see.
stressful
We'll see.
thing of my week.
What's
Yeah,
he gonna
my
do?
most stressful thing right there. Thank you for that.
Oh
Appreciate
boy, great episode. Love being back in the full swing of things with you here, buddy. Glad to get
Christmas
season
next
2
week.
going and
Happy
rolling here.
holidays.
Yes, what holidays this weekend?
Next weekend, Daytona 500.
Oh, jeez, I thought you were talking about this week. I'm like,
that's as religious an experience as it could be.
it is. It absolutely is. I highly recommend everybody on earth, before you die, go see the Daytona 500. It doesn't matter if you're in row 1 or the top row in the stadium. Go see it. Sit higher. Sure. Get a helicopter. Hover above the track. Like,
that'd be sweet.
That would be pretty
You
sweet.
levitate anyway, religious experience. So
you do. I was in row 1, and from the wind of the cars passing you at 200 mile an hour, I felt like I was taking off. I actually had to grab Nikki and hold her feet to the ground. So before she flew off,
powerful stuff.
It is. Man, what a great episode. We are back in the full swing of things. We've got an off week next week, and then Daytona 500 and the whole season following. We're here. We made it. We've had a green and a checkered flag. We are so back. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. We appreciate everybody for taking time to listen to us talk about cars taking left turns.
That's right.
Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. Tell your mom about us. She'd appreciate it. Tell your grandma about us. She'd appreciate it too. Maybe. You never know.
Disclaimer.
Hopefully Graham would. I'd be disappointed if she didn't. Real quick. Funny story before we go. I swear this is it. I was at a story last week. I can't believe I forgot to tell you this. And this old lady walks up to me, and she's like, Are you the guy on the TV? And I was like, yes, ma'am. Nice to meet you. And she looks at me and goes, can I squeeze your cheeks? And I was like, sure. And she just goes,
how do we not leave the show with this?
And just squeezes and grabs and pulls at my cheeks for like 10 seconds.
Pause.
And I was like, just standing there like, okay. All right. What is happening?
It was a prolonged amount of time. It wasn't just a quick.
No. It was a squeeze. It was a circle. Then we went up and down, and then we went all around town. Literally, I almost fell asleep standing up. It was great. It totally was.
How did we not? How did you just think of this now?
I know. You know what? Honestly,
that the rest of my life.
Dude, I've got so many great. I've got so many great stories like that. That's the one. The one negative side to working in news is there's so many situations like that happen.
Your cheeks rubbed all the time.
Huh? Get your cheeks rubbed all the time. That's what's
great about your job.
Oh, do we have time for one more? Do we have time for one more real quick?
I mean, the clock,
Okay. So this happened probably a year ago now at this point, I'd say probably a year ago. Me and Nikki went to a bar here in Merrill, and this old lady was in there, and she comes up and she's like, hey, Wyatt, nice to meet you. I watch, the show and stuff. I'm like, hey, thanks. I really appreciate it. And she starts like, it was so weird, dude. She starts like rubbing my stomach, and it's just like, looks at Nikki, and she's like, he's so funny and all this stuff. And then the worst part of it, this is where
you've gotten assaulted twice.
No, it gets worse. She, zero exaggeration, and this is viewer discretion is advised for this ending to this story. She picked up her breast area and I'm not kidding, picked it up and set it on me.
What?
She scooped and scored my ass, literally, like straight up in the middle of a bar, scooped and scored me. I like would swear on my mom's life.
What?
I wish I was kidding. I 100% wish I was kidding.
Where do you live?
Merrill, Wisconsin. I
Dude,
literally like
what is going
swear,
on here?
dude. It was crazy. And Nikki just stood there and laughed at me the whole time, provided no help. She thought it was so funny.
I mean, probably deservedly so at that point.
Like I'm like standing here being assaulted. Nikki's just dying laughing at me. I'm like, well, that's not very kind.
That's tough. Well, I mean, yeah, just boy,
That
that's a
is a
lot. That's not a
100% true
hey, I got
story.
a selfie taken of me in the bar the one day and I didn't really like it. It's
No.
you're getting touched.
Yeah, dude, like straight up. It was odd.
Who,
Okay,
who
I'm
knew there
glad.
was that much contact sport reporting?
It is. It is. She scooped and scored me. That's what I always say. Um,
It's pretty good.
man, yeah. I can't believe I just told that story on here. Anyways, we went so sideways here at the end of this episode. But you know,
Sometimes it's not a bad thing.
you have
Highways
to.
can be
You
fast.
have to. We got yeah, exactly. You know, we got to show a little personality here and tell stories of traumatic things happening. You know,
We're also a therapeutic radio or
we're
podcast.
also
I almost call us a radio show. Jeez,
we're also a therapeutic podcast. Yes. Yes. We're doing
we can really
ASMR. We're doing ASMR next week.
don't do that. That's bad. I feel like I'm you now. This is what it felt like.
It probably does feel like that. God, okay. Thank you guys
Yeah,
for tuning
hit
in.
the
I'm so
button.
sorry that we went
Hit the
off
button.
so far off track here at the end. We got to end this. See you guys. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time. God.